A fandom divided. From the sands of Tatooine to the jungles of Kashyyyk, HoloNet grifters spread hate and fear, forcing innocent fans to endure a joyless galaxy. Determined to keep the peace, two scruffy-looking nerf herders from the Outer Rim brave the wretched hive of hotcakes, scum, and villainy to bring hope to the hopeless. This is
No Disintegrations,
a Star Wars podcast.
This is where the fun begins.
Davo.
Hello there, Haydo.
Hello there.
I was looking at you going, did you just fucking glitch? Did your brain glitch because you could not think of how to ruin this episode's opening?
Nah. Just thought I'd pause for dramatic effect.
That pause, I actually thought you'd broken down. I thought something had snapped in you.
Just went going postal. Not today. It's like when that episode of The Simpsons, you know, when Moe, he like looks back into the back bit of the bar and he's got the noose tied up and he's like, not today.
What a smooth opening to the episode.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome to Mental Health with the Boys.
The boys with no Y, just a O-I.
Oh,
The
no.
boys.
Boys. Fucking.
Oh my goodness, what an intro. Welcome to No Disintegrations, a Star Wars podcast. Haydo, what are we talking about this week?
Well, I saw Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, so I was thinking, given it was about a journey, we would discuss today where our Star Wars journeys began.
Also, I feel like it needs to be a 4.5-hour podcast that you can only listen to in IMAX.
Yeah.
As Nolan intended, as the memes have gone. I loved this idea. Obviously, our touch points with the Star War has been extremely different given the chasm of difference in our ages. For those new to the pod or unaware, I am of the age that I think I'm actually the same age as your dad, possibly older than your dad.
Yeah, it's crazy that Nolan made a movie about Homer's epic poem, right? Because you would have been there when Homer first published that.
Mate, I was actually one of the oars on one of the ships for the Odyssey. It was quite the journey.
Row.
Quite the journey. Something else. I am aged. I do remember when we got fire. Fire was a big deal.
You heard it here first, folks. Fire was a big deal.
Fire was a big deal. Yeah, so I guess perfect segue. This is going to kind of operate, I guess, a bit like a fireside chat where we'll both kind of interview each other a little backwards and forwards and see how we can surprise each other with things we already know about each other.
Yeah.
And it's something we haven't actually discussed at length. We've we've glossed over it and we've mentioned it to each other at different times. We have an understanding of I guess surface level understanding of why, but this is the deep dive.
This is our Odyssey, some would say.
This is our dive into Lake You, Haydo, and the dive into Lake Me to find out where it fits in with Lucas's and Filoni's visions.
Yeah, I was sort of inspired to do this based on, I don't know if you saw it, but
The Odyssey? No, I haven't seen it yet.
No, Nolan was on Jimmy Fallon recently, and he actually spoke about Star Wars, and he said that so the original Star Wars, when it came out in 1977, he said he saw it 12 times in the.
Is that all? Fucking
Yeah.
Rookie numbers, man.
Yeah, fucking, you got to pump them numbers up, bro.
Pump them nuppies up, man.
Pump them nuppies. Pump them numbers up. No, but yeah, he saw it 12 times, and then I'll read out his quote, which it really spoke to me. He said, and I quote, "I really loved the otherworldly aspect that you could go to the movies and the screen would kind of open up and just take you someplace and you'd be in this other world for a couple of hours." So he spoke about that in sort of the context of Star Wars, and that's also the feeling he wants the Odyssey to have for people, to like take you away, basically, take you on the journey. And then, he talked about some other things, like him and his brother used to make Super 8 parodies of like Star Wars in their basement, which is so cool.
That is
And
very cool.
yeah. And I guess that thing of, that people like shit on this franchise now and what it's become and all of that. But like, it really did sort of change like the world, I think, when it sort of first came out, and
It's
you
so
were there.
I was there. I mean, it's funny when you think about that. It's like so many shows that they look at, like, because as you know, I've been around since the dawn of time. There's so many shows that when they came out just influenced everything. Like, shows like The Sopranos, like The Wire. The Wire changed television forever. To an extent, Battlestar Galactica, you wouldn't have the type of sci-fi that we have now. Deadwood. And a lot of extent, Angel and Buffy were like groundbreaking. Like, forget whatever you feel about the creators and whatever else, just the properties themselves. It changed the landscape of what you could do. And Star Wars was very much like not the earliest, but one of the earlier ones of that ilk. I remember, so if people are trying to do the math, I remember being a children's of 5 years of age and going to Star Wars with my dad. Obviously, being 5, I had no idea what I was walking into. And it was just, I remember it just being imprinted on me. I mean, it's funny because it wasn't until years later, as a huge self-confessed geek and nerd, I was trying to like I was talking to people about it, and I was like trying to work out like I think actually it might have been one of the first conversations you and I had about 4 or 5 years ago. I was trying to work out what like my key fandom is. Do you know what I mean? What do I like? And I started looking around and thinking about it. I looked at my house and I looked at all of like my clothing. I was like, all of my shirts were like Star Wars shirts, Boba Fett inspired. All of my figurines and everything, it's all Boba Fett, all Star Wars. And I was sitting there going, well, dickhead, it's pretty obvious, what all of this is. But it's funny that you mentioned like the Nolan quote, because back then it really was old school cinema. Like, I can't remember if it was Star Wars, but I definitely remember seeing one of the original trilogy at this very old school theater. And I mean theater, I mean like theater, like that was around the corner from where I used to live. And it was a place called the Winter Garden. And it was very much the old school, like if you imagine whatever your brain can sit there about a traditional theater with like the maroon cover seats and the long fucking, the curtains with the curtains that come apart, and you've got the fixtures on the side, and and it had an intermission, and it had a dude that fucking was playing a piano that rose up through the fucking floor.
Yeah,
and
where one goes to experience high art.
It was that, everybody took a break and went to the fucking candy bar to get their snacks at intermission and take and go to a pee and whatever else. But it was that whole. And it's not trying to be like ageist. Movies were different then. It was a big deal to go out to the movies. You could go and see them at the drive-in cinema. That was a thing. And two things that I'll never forget, which is I'll never forget being just terrified of Vader. Like right from the start, whatever I knew about good and bad at 5 years of age, I knew that he was the archetype of a villain. Like I knew that in my core, terrified of Vader. And I do remember feeling nothing but uplifted and hope at the end of it, because apparently rebellions are built on hope, Hayden. Don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, never heard that before.
But it's one of those things that it stayed with me, and I've seen every single Star Wars film at the cinemas as they came out, and I feel incredibly blessed and fortunate to have that, and I was like, for most of them, as far as I can remember, day one guy, like let's fucking go. My dad taking me to, so I would have gone with him to each of them. So I would have seen the OG trilogy at the cinemas with him. I think that and probably Lord of the Rings books would have been the two things that imprinted the heaviest on me growing up. And I don't have like a lot of memories of the actual experience for the first film, but I definitely have memories of like the vibes, if that makes sense, of how it's just, there will always be a fondness for that. More so now because I'm no contact with my family. So, so that definitely brings a different lens to it, because I identified with, I guess, the heroic elements, not myself personally, but as in the storytelling of the good versus bad, and, you know, good will triumph over, you know, evil, and because it was, you know, simple in the plot for the first one before they expanded on it. And I do remember that, you know, that kind of helped me form a moral code and those kind of things. Now I look at it on a bit of a different lens because, you know, I don't have contact with my family. So I'm like, I am the orphaned farm boy. And you know, I have one sister who I stay in contact with. So I'm like, and I have one sister, and look at the rest of it and be like, oh, my family thinks I've betrayed them. I was just like, interesting parallels to that now. That is this lens is a much newer lens for me, but I find it quite interesting. It's I don't know. I think it's those stories, you know, I mean, they're classics for a reason, like you're saying about the Odyssey, right? And I believe, you know, as we're both, you know, students of the written word and stuff like that, that it's, you know, what is it? There's only like 7 different stories, or, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number
but
is.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there is a finite number of themes for stories and all of that. And I do remember that this was one of the most influential for me. And also, you know, I'm a fan of Japanese culture as well. And this, you know, wears those influences, you know, quite proudly on his chest. So I just think there was a lot of stuff in that, you know, while I do love Empire, I'll always have a soft, like, if you had to say to me, like, what's your favorite out of all of them? I'd probably have to go back and say, like, Star Wars, just for the, like, wild-eyed fantasy of, like, a 5-year-old having his world and mind blown at, because there was nothing like that at the time. Like, do you know what I mean? It was not.
Yeah.
It was not like, it's not like now, like just another addition to the MCU or the DJ Khaled of fucking sci-fi. You know, woo, another one. Let's go. It wasn't like that. It was like there was nothing like this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you even sort of remember anything being as sort of remotely, I guess, mind-blowing before this film? Was there anything that had captivated you?
The only thing I remember absolutely blowing my fucking mind was when Terminator dropped. I remember getting like a VHS copy of that and watching that and just being like, holy shit. Like, wow. I know the whole time paradox thing and whatever else, but I honestly can't think of anything, maybe Transformers, just as far, because like I was around for G1 of everything. So, you know, you had the original Megatron with the gun and whatever else. And what I do remember is, not only was the story of it, you know, at the time very mythical and mind-blowing, and you hadn't seen anything like it, but the merchandising, you'd never seen anything like it. Like, I had more Star Wars fucking figures, and the current age version of myself wants to go back in time and bitch slap the 5 to 12-year-old version of myself, because I had everything, like OG packaging, G1 fucking Star Wars figures, everything. Like, so I can't even tell you how many figures and fucking play sets I had that now are worth a small fortune. That I don't even have them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I moved house, I think, when we were 17, and my mum just threw, don't even get me started. Threw out.
That's the real reason you're no contact. That's an unforgivable sin.
Dude, she threw out like so much of my stuff and like a box of OG Phantom comics, like the Aussie ones, because she was like, oh, I just didn't think you were a child anymore and read this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? That's a sidebar for another therapy session. I mean, podcast. So, but yeah, I remember.
Geez, I've never met your mum, but I'm ready to go no contact.
What I do remember, which was fucking hilarious, was we had this massive tree in our backyard that I used to love to climb and everything. And my mum was like, no, we need to get rid of this. I want a swimming pool in the backyard. Because this was back in the days where A, you could afford to buy a house, and B, you could afford to have a backyard.
That must have been when the Odyssey came out. Right? Yeah.
Well, like I told you, man, fire, again, big deal.
Yeah. Odysseus was negatively gearing his kingdoms.
Okay, boomer. So I remember that we got rid of this tree, which, you know, RIP to the tree, because it was a beautiful little thing. And then about halfway through construction, so the hole was dug for the pool. My mum then had the realization, because this was back in the day when you just chill with the neighbor kids and whatever else. You know what I mean? Like, it was literally like Stranger Things was my childhood.
Yeah.
You know, get on a BMX, go out, do dumb shit. Stranger Things, Stand By Me, all of that, except for finding the dead body. Like, all of that kind of stuff it was just normal. You know what I mean? You'd go out, you'd finish school, you'd jump on your pushy, you'd go out wherever, and then you come back when it was dark.
Yeah.
And that was it. It wasn't like you fucking around on the internet. It didn't exist. You know, none of that. You made your own mischief and fun. But mum realized, oh fuck, all the neighbor kids are going to come over, and fuck that. So
fuck community.
so ended up filling up that hole with like sand. And it was so imagine like a massive pool of sand. So for me,
that's crazy. Does she know that sand's coarse, rough, and irritating? It gets everywhere.
Some people really hate sand. They would probably murder like a bunch of children in half the galaxy to get away from it.
I would.
Of course, the timing of this was like around Jedi. So to me, I was like, oh, Tatooine. So one day I took like a bunch of my figures and buried them all throughout there. I was like, oh, it's a massive Sarlacc pit, and you know that. And it got to a point, I don't even know how I did it. I could never find them again. Like, I buried them so deep or whatever. So there's like, for whoever moved into the old crib, there's like some treasure trove in the backyard. Part of me wants to like buy the property and just dig up the backyard, find like this 35, 40-year-old like OG Chewbacca that is just like covered in sand.
I'm in. I'm already in the background, like prepping a kit. I got my shovel and.
But no, sorry. I know this was a extremely tangential journey, but it was. I would have to say that Star Wars was one of the most pivotal moments as far as like culture wise for me.
Merchandising was insane. That's one of the things about Lucas where he was a visionary in many ways, but the merchandising, I don't think you can really overstate how much of a genius move that was.
Oh, nobody had done it before. And the fact that what was it? He took like a cut from the funding of, was it the Star Wars or Empire?
He took massive cuts.
And just said, but I own the licensing rights. And that was fucking crazy. And sidebar, one of the things that I really do miss, and I know that they kind of bringing it back, but it's nowhere near as rampant, was like the metallic lunchbox, mate. The OG, like every fucking thing that came out had its metallic lunchbox and a little fucking sippy cup. And you know what I mean? Like those things, I had like, goddamn, like 50 of them for sure. Like everything that came out, I was like, I got to get another one. I got to have them all.
Yeah,
that was like the OG Pokemon, you know?
One of my favorite WWE wrestler as a kid was Batista. The guy who plays Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I don't know if you've seen it, but he collects like vintage metal lunches.
I have actually seen that. I think
awesome.
I love that.
Like his massive collection, and most people now, you would look at lunchbox, you're like, yeah, nah, but those old metallic ones have such a cool vibe about them.
And the little flick, the
so
flick
good.
latch, and they were made so well. You know, they weren't this like thin aluminium. I'm assuming they were still aluminium, but there wasn't that thin. You know, like you could crush it with one hand like a Coke can. These were sturdy as fuck.
Yeah, like you could bully a kid with these ones. You know?
Oh man, I had been clocked in the side of the head many a time by a lunchbox. No, they were wonderful, man. And it's who knew that this episode would become the fandoms that made us. We've said this before on this podcast, is that this is just two dudes who love themselves some Star Wars. And I'll never understand, and maybe it's because of this lens I had, because it's so intrinsically in how I was brought up and raised, and such a pivotal like moment in my childhood, in my formative years. But all the people who shit on the fandom and you know are just become the more toxic and more critical elements of the fandom. It's just like, man, like enjoy the thing. If you don't like the thing, then don't watch the thing. But don't shit all over it to the point that, you know, like don't dox people. don't go after people who are playing actors because actors who are playing characters because you can't identify with who they are. Like, let the people have nice things.
Yeah, like don't bully Jake Lloyd because you didn't like Child Anakin, or
you know. And I mean,
like Ahmed Best's story is really upsetting.
What a redemption arc.
Yeah, I love that he got his flowers, you know.
And also with Hayden Christensen, right? Everybody,
Oh,
you know, all the, and I was guilty too, like Mannequin Skywalker. And you know what I mean? When he first came out, everyone was like this. And it's like, everyone forgets the dude was directed to do the thing the certain way, which means that is what George wanted. He is the product of what George wanted the character to be.
oh, he's whiny. It's like he's kind of meant to be.
You know, because he does have that, like, I want to say like inherited privilege.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? But also at the same point, like I mean, they made him who he is.
Yeah, if you're constantly told you're the chosen one, you're probably going to have a bit of a complex.
And then being told, you know, you're the only one who's not getting your flowers. And then you've got another one coming over there going, here, have all the flowers you want. You know, it's obviously going to work. But no, man, that's that's the origin story. That's like chapter one, chapter one for me. But it's interesting for me too. I just want to sidebar for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to flip the question onto you, which is the funniest thing for me is how much my lens of Star Wars has shifted though since the start of Your and My friendship, which was the buffer point for us was our, you know, I'm not making excuses for using the word, our fetishness, our fetishist. We are both like, I've never met anybody who loves Boba Fett as much as you do, except for me, and who has an affinity and loves the character and loves everything about it and loves the lore and the expansion of the lore. But the lens that you viewed Star Wars through has forever changed, probably in the most positive way, the lens that I view Star Wars through. And it's just one of the reasons why I'm extremely grateful for our friendship. But
you're welcome.
I thank you. I really do thank you. I think I've done a lot of it a disservice, and I'm grateful for that lens. And we could delve into that a little bit later. But given the fact that, you know, you're what, like 13 now, 14, so you know there is quite the age difference.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly, it's all of those growth hormones that you're on, which makes you sound like you're a 30-year-old man. What about you? Like, what was your first experience with the Star Wars?
First experience with the Star Wars.
And maybe not like as in the OG trilogy, but what do you remember as like your first or your pivot, the most imprinted moment of Star Wars for you?
So 1999, obviously, when Phantom Menace came out. But like obviously, I didn't really know what Star Wars was sort of until a bit before that. It was Christmas. I know the special edition, like VHS came out. I think it's 1997. But I don't know if that's the year I watched it or not.
I think that was the last time you could get it without the special edition. So
Yeah,
that was after he'd done the Redux.
He'd done the, yeah.
It wasn't that you couldn't get, yeah, that's right. You couldn't get the OG VHS anymore.
Yeah, so the first ones I've seen are actually the ones he made the changes in. Like I hadn't seen the originals until I was
Oh
a bit
God,
older.
what a horrible way to start with without hand shooting first.
But yeah, Dad got that for Christmas, whatever year that was, and you know we watched them, and they're in. I've got them still, but it's in that, like, I don't know if you remember when it came out. It's in that like gold and black box.
Oh no, I remember.
Yeah, and you open it and it's like VHS sleeves that the tape slide out of.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Like the design is fantastic.
I really do miss. I wish I'd held on to, you know, the old school I had so many VHS, but there's only so much room one can have for collectibles. And I think now this is the moving all my collections to 4K before physical media disappears forever is now, I think, the fourth time. Like I've had everything on VHS. Then I moved everything to DVD. Then I moved everything to Blu-ray. Now it's fucking 4K. I'm like, I'm done. 4K is the last time.
Aren't you glad you didn't hop on the 3D movie trend?
Not 3D. I did start on Laserdisc when that came out, and I did still have a couple of Betamax because we had both, and I had some HD DVD as well when that came out. But surprise, surprise, whichever the porn industry favors is the one that wins out. Wish that was a joke, but it's not. That is actually why Blu-ray beat HD DVD and why VHS beat Beta, because Beta was the superior
format. Yeah.
Anyway, sidebar. Moving on.
But yeah, so I remember we watched like all of those. Dad was basically like, "We're going to watch these movies," and And like, it really was that thing Nolan talks about, just being transported to another world.
Did he give you, like, was there any...
Nah, just straight in.
So he gave you nothing, like, this is going to blow your fucking mind or nothing. He was just like, sit down, boy, and let's watch these things.
Yeah, you know, it's time for some parenting. Sit down and shut the fuck up.
Sounds familiar.
I probably was silent, but I just remember then.
Whoa. In 5 years of friendship, I've yet to experience this, with the exception of the opening of this podcast.
Yeah.
For a second.
But just like, yeah, it took me to another world. And then suddenly, like, the house we lived in wasn't the house anymore. Like, the hallway was now the hallway of the 10 to V4 at the beginning of
Oh my
Star
God,
Wars,
horrifying.
you know?
I would
Like-
not be wanting to go to the bathroom as a kid in the middle of the night. Like, fuck that.
You know, I know that pretend guns popping out of the doorways into the hallway, like I'm getting rid of the stormtroopers, or this is probably like my favorite one, because this sort of proves how like ingrained it really was on my mind. So, you know, in Empire Strikes Back, after Luke duels Vader and he, you know, gets his hand cut off and he falls down, like the chutes
Oh, yeah.
in Bespin, and he's going down the tunnels or whatever. I used to love going to McDonald's to the playground because the things you would crawl through that were like tubes and slides, like I used to pretend like I was Luke in Bespin with my hand cut off, like falling down the tubes.
I want to ask you, did you ever take like a plastic sippy cup or whatever and just like have a long sleeve jumper on? Just like pretend the sippy cup is like your hand falling down the
Yeah, like kind of all the time you would pull a sleeve down so you had no...
Exactly.
Ah!
You'd be like, no.
Yeah, just like and so funny what you said about filling in that, you know, where the pool should have been with the sand, like the sand pit at wherever the park or the preschool or whatever, that's now Tatooine. And like, I just wanted to live in that universe.
Mm.
And, you know, I still do. But the more pivotal, you know, like obviously that was a great introduction and I loved it. But Phantom Menace, you know, it's funny growing up and realizing so many people hated that, because I was like, man, I loved that as a kid.
So how old were you when you saw Phantom Menace?
So I was 5.
Wow, so it's the same thing. We both saw, and
exactly
was
right.
that your first one at the cinema?
Well, this is where it gets funny. So we're going to the cinema, but before there was like we lived in Townsville at the time. There was like a Toy World near the cinema. So we went to Toy World first, and like the merchandising, that Darth Maul box art they had for episode 1, it's all red and black with his sort of half face.
Oh, that's right. And they cut the middle of it in half.
Yeah.
And then just
Yeah.
It's a 2-piece
Down
set.
the middle, actually. And yeah, like my first figure was it was Qui-Gon Jinn. It was just the one I
What
liked.
a shock.
And then, you know, watched the movie and I was like, I like Obi-Wan. My first 3 from that line was, it was Qui-Gon Jinn,
The goat.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then Child Anakin. They were like the 3 I got first. I still have those as well. It's funny because the Qui-Gon, he's got like gross old super glue in his hands, because Dad would super glue the lightsabers into my toys so I wouldn't lose the accessories.
I mean, to be honest, that's a
Yeah, it's actually
really good call,
it's quite smart
because you lose. I remember
it's the first thing that goes.
I had like a childhood memory of that just pop in, of like the number of times I'd be like, oh, no lightsabers, just gone, or they'd bend or break or whatever, because you know they were flimsy and you're kids and you're stupid. So,
yeah. So yeah, we go to toy, get all the figures, and then we're meant to go to the cinema, but I've never been to a cinema before. So we walk in and it's like obviously pitch black, and I'm just screaming and crying. Like I can't. And we go. Well, I remember we go and sit down, and you know it's that first sort of scene of Phantom Menace where they brought into the room by a TC-14 and the gas goes off, but I'm not taking it in. I'm fucking screaming, and then I just get like yanked up, like, all right, we're fucking going.
Oh no.
And then I've just got this, you know, guilt where I'm in the back seat all the way home. Like I feel bad and all that, because like I know my parents are angry. I also kind of know that I've like wasted money. But then later that night, you know, I'm just basically just in my room feeling bad with this action figure, not really knowing who he is and what he does and what goes on. And then, you know, all of a sudden it's like, get out of your room, we're going. So I'm like, where are we going type thing. And we end up going to the drive-in in Townsville. So my first Star Wars like movie experience is a drive-in theater.
That's actually pretty cool. And I can understand your parents' philosophy behind that of like, well, we can just, beat him in the backseat of the car if he starts acting a fool like he did in the cinema. No, because it's like it's manageable. You're within your own little bubble.
Yeah, exactly. And just loved it.
Your first movie was a fucking drive-in.
Yeah.
That is dope, man.
You pull the speaker off and it clicks onto your window.
Yeah, and you wind
And I just remember I'm sitting in the back seat with my Qui-Gon figure and I'm putting him up to the fucking speaker like he's the one talking. And I don't even really know if I took in what was going on in the film, but obviously as a kid I loved the pod race because it was like, oh, Hot Wheels cars, kind of vibe. And I just loved that movie. I found Darth Maul really scary, not as scary as Vader to me. He creeped me out as well when we first watched it.
Yeah, I always felt that Maul was
he was
scary but cool.
Yeah, scary.
Whereas
cool.
Vader was just scary but terrifying.
Maul's kind of emblematic of what I think is that 90s vibe of when I see Maul, I can't help but think of that clothing that would have flames on it.
So I think Ed Hardy shit.
Yeah, or like a wallet chain.
Oh.
That's if Maul was a skateboarder, he'd be rocking a.
Maul is the Bam Margera fucking villains.
But then all I sort of remember then about Phantom Menace and Star Wars in general then is it wasn't just a movie. It was a world I wanted to live in. But then it was also there was all these N64 games like Star Wars Racer. And then there was the Phantom Menace video game and, there were books and comics and it was sort of the first time I'd really experienced, a multimedia thing. It was so you watch the movie, I can't watch that again because it's at the cinema, but I can go to this world whenever I want through these other mediums. And that's for me where it was kind of not all over, but I didn't want anything else because I had it was just if this is the world I love, I don't need to be anywhere else. Because I was also big into Toy Story and X-Men and Batman the animated series, and I still love all those things, but this one was this one grabbed me by the throat.
I think it's interesting because the timing wise of what you're saying and because you're and my first touch points on this are so different, generationally different. There's 22 years gap between our first Star Wars cinema experiences. Is what you're saying about being able to have mixed media and go through and find other avenues. It wasn't like that. Back in the day, first of all, you bled for it because people would be like, oh, you fucking nerd and whatever. Do you know what I mean? It was it was not the cool thing to do. The stuff that I loved as a kid was I loved reading Stephen Donaldson and David Eddings books. That was not in the fucking majority of people. I used to read a lot of Forgotten Realms and that kind of stuff when they first came out. That was not popular. LARPing, not popular. Playing D&D, not popular. That was the stuff that would get you pushed into a locker and beat up. And that was very much my fucking high school experience of being the fucking geeky, nerdy guy that I was I don't fit in anywhere. I don't get anywhere. But it's not only that, it's you had to kind of create those stories for yourself because you didn't have it. So, things I remember distinctly is when they would drop merchandising sets that were loosely attached to the films. They had for Empire, they had the cannon on the tripod on Hoth that the Empire had.
Oh, the E-Web.
Yeah. And they had the troopers with the longer face.
Yeah.
I had a set of one trooper of that with the 3 mount. That became suddenly that's in Tatooine because that's what it needed to be. Do you know what I mean? You just made do because...
Yeah, it's not a snow trooper anymore. It's a sand trooper.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm probably, if I had paint, I would have painted him off yellow or something so that it would have fit. But it just became you create those stories on your own because pockets of that fandom and what media you could consume was so limited. There would be... for them, a video game tie-in would be at the arcade.
Yeah.
It wasn't, their home consoles didn't exist, so you couldn't play anything like that or do anything. So, you'd go and play. I still remember there was this old game. It was kind of a precursor to Afterburner, and it was very much like, I guess, line drawing would be the best way to put it, where you're in an X-wing and piloting. You know the one I'm talking about. But you've got the reticle that it's basically you're on rails. It takes you wherever.
Yeah,
but the
yeah, yeah.
reticle you could just, and they're shooting at you. You're doing the trench run. You're doing everything. Holy shit, man! I mean, this is back in the day when it was like 20 cents for a game. I pumped so many fucking coins into that, and there'd be these releases with each of the film, and that would be what you'd hit. Then stuff like the first comics would come out, which would usually be like a tie-in with the film. Or then I think the first Star Wars comic I read, it wasn't the first, but the first one I read, I think, was Dark Empire when that first came out, and then Shadows of the Empire. So it was like, it just wasn't as freely even like 25 years ago when you were around, it wasn't as much.
Oh no, like I was hunting that stuff down, and like particularly books and comics was like whatever the public library had.
Yeah, whereas we didn't, like, it just didn't exist.
Yeah.
You just wait for it to come out. And then also because there wasn't the internet or whatever else, you'd find out about it through word of mouth, or you'd meet somebody, or you'd get to know a comic book guy or a comic shop owner, and they'd be like, hey, here's this cool
Ear to
thing.
the ground.
Yeah, it was very much like this fucking secret squirrel kind of thing where people would just pass that knowledge on. So it was kind of very much more of the, I'd like to say, the cool kids club, part of the cool, but it was not. It was very much part of the uncool kids.
It's cool kids club now when you watch something like Stranger Things and they reframe it of like, look at these cool kids. It's like, nah, man, they were getting absolutely rinsed.
If you want to know what the experience was like when Dustin is getting his ass kicked and handed to him, that's the normal, that is the normal fucking geek experience back in the day, in the 80s and whatever else. You never fucking, there's no chicks are into it. Or if they are, they're keeping that shit very close to their chest. So it wasn't like you could find a lot of people to vibe with and talk about it. I mean, even I'll never forget it. I used to play D&D with like a bunch of mates, and our DM one time, I think we were like 14 or 15. He was like, hey man, we should go into like, national park and camp and do a LARP. And I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm like, this sounds like death on a stick. I feel like I'm just going to be a cautionary tale to other people. And, I mean, now
then you become the dead body and Stand By Me.
It's full circle. It's wonderful. It's like poetry. It rhymes. But no, do you know what I mean? So it's just such a different thing. And I feel like that frames my fandom experience now, because I'm just like, let the people have the things, like enjoy the thing. Like, it's so freely available. There's so many different flavors of it available. Like, enjoy it all. If you don't like that flavor, that's okay. Have another flavor, but don't shit on other people who like that flavor. And I think that's kind of where I get to with all fandoms now, is like, can we just let the toxic fandoms go? Can we just be, like happy that the thing exists? And if you don't want to have it, there's enough shit out there that there's something that you will like.
Yeah, people spend way too much energy engaging in a thing they don't actually like, which is crazy to me.
I mean, hate brings the world together, but still. But it really is like, I mean,
but it's also a path to the dark side, which makes me think these people haven't seen Star Wars, or if they have, they're not taking away the lessons,
So many people really, really do miss the fundamental lesson of it all. Like, they really do. They're sitting there quoting this and that, it's that, classic Nazi meme of like, wait, are we the baddies? Like, so many people are like, dude, look at the lesson. The Empire is not the good guys.
Yeah, I love those people that are like, Star Wars isn't political, so keep politics out of Star Wars. And then George is just like, the Ewoks are the Viet Cong and the Empire are America.
And you just know that on some fucking X thread, some guy's going, well, actually, let me just explain it to you. X as in X.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen here, George. You don't know Star Wars.
Let me explain the thing you created to you.
Yeah, Star Wars is like, inherently political. It's about a rebellion.
That's really wild. I still can't get over that your first cinematic experience was in a fucking drive-in.
Yeah, and I love drive-ins. Like,
dude, they're so good.
I love them. Like, I remember a few years ago, one I used to go to a lot. they did like the original trilogy. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go watch like watch the original. I've seen like a lot of like I saw Man of Steel there, saw Pacific Rim.
I actually saw at the like similar time because I was lucky because the golden age of trilogies came out around then. So I remember seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark at the drive-in, and that was just an absolute fucking banger. Like and I'll always have a soft spot. I think that's kind of why people love the Moonlight cinemas and stuff like that because it gives you that little. It's a little more comfortable version of, that. But it was such a unique experience to, because it's kind of like you're there with everybody, but you're also by yourself. It's different because a bad cinema experience can, like the number of times I've been in a movie theater and I'm just like wanting to throttle people, just like shut the fuck up. Even before like phones, it was like, people being dicks and talking throughout the whole movie. And it's just like, bro, go somewhere else. Like I will actually throw hands and just be like either give me my fucking money for my ticket back or shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like take your pick.
Yeah, the cinema is sacred. There's a social contract and talking is just something you can't be doing.
I know, like even now they do the turn your phone off. That also means turn your mouth off.
Yeah, it's nuts, eh? I love a drive-in. I remember during COVID, the drive-in we used to go to got so much more business.
Oh, of course.
Obviously all the cinemas shut, but they were allowed to still operate because you were social distancing and stuff. And they weren't even like, because obviously a lot of new movies weren't coming out as often as they would be. They were just running whatever they had.
Oh, sure.
It was like, that's when I saw Star Wars again, or they were running pretty much like all the classics, and it was just awesome. And it was so cheap. I think it was like $20 for 3 films. Absolutely crazy.
Well, I go back now, like I'm sitting there thinking, it's funny we're talking about this. I watched June part 1 and part 2 last night with my nephew, who's a cinephile, but he's never seen them. And I was just like, well, this is a fucking travesty that you haven't seen these movies.
What type of cinephile is he? Is he like I like Citizen Kane and the Boondock Saints? Is it that type?
No, he just loves movies.
Yes,
he loves movies, and he's also I'm pretty sure he's got synesthesia as well. So he just like music is so inherently linked with everything. So he gets. He like the music part of it and the score, he just takes it to a whole nother level. So we watched a whole bunch of things.
So he'd be really into like motifs and stuff.
Exactly. And he's incredibly smart. So you know what I mean? There's just so many different levels that he breaks down a movie when he watches it. So I really enjoy sharing these things with him. But I was like, you have to see this. But the point of what I was trying to make is it's like that's the joy of like the drive-in and the moonlit cinema is for so many of people, you miss the first run. Like I said to you yesterday, I watched Masters of the Universe, fucking banger. Loved it. I was pissed that I never saw that at the movies. But I'm like, I'm sure that at some point it'll come out of Moonlight Cinema and you'll get to experience it. And I do love that they do that at drive-ins, Moonlight Cinemas. So people who've never experienced, like you need to see the OG trilogy at the fucking cinema. You have to. It's not the fucking same experience. It's never the same experience if you don't see it at the cinema. You can still enjoy it, but it doesn't have that whole, ooh, you know what I mean? Like these scenes and sets are larger than life. You need to experience it in a larger than life,
well,
platform.
yeah, you've got to see it in the format it was ideally created for.
As Nolan intended. 70mm IMAX only. It doesn't matter that there's only one place in this country that you can see it. You must make the Odyssey to Melbourne to see the Odyssey. Sorry, sidebar. I couldn't help myself. So interesting. This was our first foray into it. Now, let me ask you then, do you feel that there have been different points throughout your life that you've reviewed or revisited or expanded on your fandom and it's taken you in one or an opposite direction? And is there a different lens perhaps that you look at it now, I say, sitting in an apartment that is got 80,000 conservative counted Star Wars figures and figurines?
Yeah, I'd say there's Revenge of the Sith is a really seminal film for me. So that obviously came out in 2005. But 2005 is the year my dad deployed to Iraq, and Mum and I went up to, Dad was chipping out from Townsville. So we went up, I had to wait weeks to see it. So it was out. All my friends at school had seen it. Everyone was talking about it. I had action figures. I had a pencil case. I had like,
Oh, it's okay.
I had a General Grievous tin, and I was still calling him like General Grievous because I hadn't seen the film, had only like read the word, obviously, you know, being a bit of an illiterate fuck, just saying it wrong. And all the friends were talking about what happened. I'm like, no spoilers. Like I didn't want it to be ruined.
Oh, spoilers back in the day was like that was like a end of friendship.
Yeah.
You know, fucking expense. If
Oh.
you like, if any prick walked out of Empire, I can't believe it's fucking Luke's dad. It's like, shut the fuck up. I will drop you.
Yeah, it's that scene with in The Simpsons where Homer walks out of the screening. He's like, I can't believe.
It's literally like, honestly, I would have killed somebody if they did that back in the day. Holy shit.
Yeah, so we went up to Townsville because obviously I wanted to watch it with Dad because I'd seen all of them with Dad. And obviously didn't dawn on me too much as a kid because, I'm like 10, so I don't really understand.
Well, by your own admission, an illiterate fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the world and I love the Jedi, and even seeing in the cinema that opening shot of the Venator.
Dude, that is still like, I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anything that has come out in sci-fi space cinema since then. I think the only scene that compares is probably one of the end scenes in Serenity, as far as volume and scale of just space battle.
Yeah.
Like it is just absolutely like, I'm lost for words. I don't even want
like it didn't happen like this, but my memory of it is like curtains open and my eyes open too as the Venator sort of comes into frame, and it's an immaculate shot. But I think what dawned on me as I got a bit older, and this is like the thing, Star Wars isn't political, but like Revenge of the Sith is an absolute critique of like the Bush administration. And, it's a take on the war on terror and the deployment of, coalition forces to the Middle East. And it's about emergency powers and kind of, like how Caesar didn't give powers back.
Wait, are you trying to say that absolute power corrupts absolutely?
Yeah, essentially. When I was a teenager and I really got into like English literature and studying the classics, and I really loved ancient history and all that, I started like, reading all of those things and, meditations and all those things now that are like pretty obvious. But like to me, it was when I'd first made that connection of like, like the reason why we make films in general or why we make art is because we're kind of trying to understand, what it means to be human.
But also retelling those classic tales through the modern lens, making something a little bit more digestible.
Yeah. And that's exactly what the Odyssey does. Like it's not a one-for-one, retelling of Homer's epic poem. There's some changes in there for more contemporary ways of storytelling. And that's what I still love about Revenge of the Sith. Like, does it get it all right? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of classics in Revenge of the Sith, while also it's trying to, critique what was happening at the time. And George has always done that, right? Like the Ewoks or the Viet Cong, like isn't just a throwaway thing. Like he was thinking pretty deeply about that. Like a vastly outnumbered force, like using the technology it has available and its knowledge of the
time,
place it
right?
lives.
He would have been filming that at probably like 81, 82.
Yeah, like it's fresh in his mind.
It's fresh. It's still there. It's still happening.
Yeah, and he opposed the war. And that's something that really made me recontextualize how I viewed that film. And there's a bit of, biblical nature of it, like Anakin sort of being a fallen angel and all that sort of stuff. But
there's almost a bit of Cain and Abel too.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, there's heaps of Shakespeare in general in Star Wars, I'd say. But yeah, that's probably the one I rethought the most. And then, second to that is probably Clone Wars. Like Clone Wars was
terrible. Fucking terrible.
Stop it.
A travesty of a film.
What are you talking about? The series, you idiot.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Not Attack of the Clones.
No, because the Clone Wars Star Wars went away for a little bit for me. Sort of, as I got a bit older.
I don't even know how that's humanly possible. But...
Well, it's true. Because it was sort of framed to me of like, that's for children. You've got to give this up now. Teenagers don't play with action figures. They don't collect things. And I started playing sport in Queensland. Was a lot of people around me getting into like drugs and underage drinking, and which I never did because I was like, like, oh, it's not what I want to do. Like, I want to play video games. Like, I read comics, but it's that thing you were talking about. It's like you keep that shit to yourself.
Absolutely. Like I remember there was so much stuff that think about those vibes 25 years earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
It was that part of like when I grew up, it was just like,
it's like being a Jew in Nazi Germany.
Which is even funnier because I was Jewish then too, and still am. Oh. But it's one of those things where it's like that. You're a man, be a man. Push those feelings down. You never talked about feelings or any like thing like that with your mates, and you never showed any vulnerability or weaknesses because that would make you, pick whatever derogatory term was applicable back in the day. But it would just be, so it was a lot of that. You just kept those cards close to your chest. So for me, being able to like openly celebrate all of that now it's so healing to the inner child, because that my child gets to revel in that now and enjoy that without, and I feel like that's kind of like, and this apparently is just an open therapy session for my inner child, but it's so healing to be able to just enjoy that fandom. And I feel like that's why I am so vehemently like oppose the toxic parts of it, because it's just like, man, like so many people had to like enjoy it behind closed doors, pretend they didn't like it. Like now it's fine to do it. So just let people enjoy it. Let everybody enjoy the fandom. I think when we were talking about like transformative moments and everything, and I touched on it earlier before, but like meeting you transformed how I look at Star Wars at a very fundamental core level. Like I was an adamant OG trilogy. Everything else is fucking garbage compared to it. And, mostly stand by that. I kid. It wasn't until we talked and you and I got to know each other better, and you especially, and we started to work in the areas that we work, and you started to explain to me, the impact of and the relevance of it through the lens of the military and stuff like that, which was not an upbringing that I had any affiliation or understanding of. And you said to me, look, you were the OG guy. I'm a prequel baby, and this is what I want. And you're like, but this is the lens that you need to view the prequels through. And I sat there and I remember you saying to me, watch the Clone Wars sandwiched into the middle of the prequel trilogy. And I'd always been adamant against that because I'd watched the original Clone Wars, like the Gennady Tartakovsky ones. Because
which fucking slaps. It's so
fucking
good.
Unbelievable.
It's so good.
It like three
love
minutes
that one.
of fucking heaven. Every episode is just fucking spectacular, or 10 minutes, whatever they fucking were. Spectacular. And I've always loved him from Samurai Jack and everything else. So I was like all on board. And then I felt that when they started the original animation Clone Wars, like not original, but like the follow-ups, and by all accounts, it was a little kiddie at the start. And so part of me was like, I'm not feeling it. So I kind of parked it and left it. And then I went back and watched it. And I was always adamant, you shouldn't need 7 fucking seasons of a TV show to explain a trilogy of films or to give it the rounded, chocolatey.
Yeah,
goodness.
and I mean, I agree with that. Like, I don't oppose that at all. I think the difference for me was like, and this was put into context by a guy I worked with I used to work at SeaWorld, and supervisor there was a big Star Wars fan. And he said to me, because I came into work one day and I'd gotten the Captain Rex tattoo. I have the Jay Galar eyes, like the Mandalorian Shriek-Hawk he has on his helmet. And he was just like, oh, that's Captain Rex's helmet. And I just had this like, oh, do you like Clone Wars? He's like, yeah, I love it. We were just chatting. He's such a Star Wars fan that he named his kid Anakin. But he said that like his kids love Star Wars too, but that was the only Star Wars they had seen.
Oh, wow.
They hadn't seen any of the films. And then I was kind of like, wow. And I was like, so they don't know that like Palpatine is Sidious. They don't even know who Darth Vader is. Like their only perception of Yoda is Yoda in the TV show and like Obi-Wan. And I was like, that's really crazy, but like really cool. And then I had the understanding of like Clone Wars wasn't made for original trilogy fans, and it, potentially wasn't even made for someone like me. It was made for a younger generation.
Absolutely. And I think for me, like going back through and following that lens of what you said to me, and you were just like, as we like to say, grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and were like, come here, little fuck.
Yeah.
Just watch it. And, my wife and I went through the whole journey. We went like chronologically through everything that at the time was out for Star Wars. So, we did every Rogue One, all of that. And we went through the Clone Wars. And I remember going like, we did the Gennady Tartakovsky, and I remember watching Phantom Menace. I was like, okay, this holds up. I don't hate this as much as my memory hated it. I was like, okay, and I looked through it the lens of if I was your age. So I looked through it the lens as if I was Haydo's age, or if I was like if I was a 5 to 10-year-old watching this, and I was like, absolutely, this would fucking grab me, and I'd be walking around fucking
when you're a child,
fucking whatever.
When you're a kid, you're not thinking about dialogue quality, pacing.
No, you're sitting there going, Jar Jar's hilarious and silly and stupid.
Dude, I remember in like when Phantom Menace came out and like preschool or grade 1, whatever it was, show and tell that week, this kid rocking up with a Jar Jar action figure for show and tell and saying Jar Jar was his favorite character. And anytime people around, you go at work or wherever, people are like, oh, you like Star Wars? And they're always like, yeah, you feel about Jar Jar Binks. Like it's some sort of gotcha.
Yeah.
And then I just think about that kid and I'm just like, I don't know, man, it resonated with that kid.
Yeah, like, again, people love it. Let people love the thing, and I went through and I watched it through that lens. And then, and I loved, and I after I think midway the second season or third season, it starts to have that turn where it's not like episodic. It's got like that much longer
it's got story
arcs to it. And
it starts to explore themes.
and it goes so deep. And then the lore and the mythology, I was like, okay, I'm really starting to enjoy this. And then, watched Attack of the Clones, and I was like, wow, this is worse than I remember. This film is dog shit. And we can break that down later. But by the time I got to the end and then we watched Revenge of the Sith, I was so much more sympathetic towards Anakin, and I had such more empathy for his plight about the manipulation and all that. And it did completely change the context of how I viewed the prequels. And then that changed the lens at which I looked at the OG trilogy, because I saw Vader as much more of a tragic character rather than just, a one-trick fucking villain who was just like terrifying. I was just like this, he's been tormented, he's been manipulated, he's been, he's lost everything. But he still, looks through the lens of like, he's just stayed the course and everyone's betrayed him. So it changed, it flipped exactly how I looked at it. And then it just became, I will watch any fucking Star Wars that comes out. I mean, and then you and I had like massive bonding periods over, Book of Boba Fett and Mando, and just anything that's come out recently. But I mean, for it's funny for me to think that the two most pivotal moments are like my dad taking me to see it, and then my mate going, try this, look at this. And I feel like to me, it's the core crux of the problem with toxic fandom, is just like, look, like flip the lens, and there's all this fucking goodness that you've missed out on. It's like when we talk about people who sit there and go, I don't watch animation because that's for children. You know what I mean? It's like you're missing all the stories that you're trying to find in, and this is not unique to Star Wars, but any story that you're trying to find, they've probably got it in animated form or comic form or a book or whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're looking for in that fandom probably exists in a place you're not prepared to look.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people go, who's your favorite Batman? And I say Kevin Conroy, and they're like, no, it can only be live action. And it's just like, well, okay, then say favorite live action Batman.
But also he's the best Batman.
Yeah, that's like, because Kevin Conroy, and when people go, well, that can't be your favorite. And I'm always like, when I read a Batman comic, it's Kevin Conroy's voice in my head.
100 fucking %.
Or it's the same thing. I had a conversation recently at work about, they were like, oh, your favorite Spider-Man? And I'm like, my favorite Spider-Man movie is Into the Spider-Verse. Oh, I haven't seen that. That's that animated one. Like said with this, ew, yucky, kind of tone. And it's just like, whatever, man. It's the one I like.
Also, you're missing out on
and it's crazy that's my favorite, because you know how I feel about multiverse stuff. I hate multiverse shit normally, but
but they are beautiful movies. They are so good, and I can't wait to see the third one in 2080.
Yeah, like I don't know. You're right. Like people just, because I don't understand that thing at all. I'm sort of willing to try any medium. You know, I think people would be shocked to find out when people, you know, Nolan made a movie, The Odyssey, and then people always go, "Oh, it's based on a book." It's like, actually, it's based on like an epic poem that you really meant to tell orally. And, you know, it's actually not just a book. You know, you got to give things a go. And yeah, Clone Wars was that for me because, yeah, I disconnected a little bit from the stuff I'd liked. And I remember one of my friends being like, "Oh, have you seen like Clone Wars?" And I was like, "No, man, that's go," you know, because you know, I'm trying to fit in, you know, and I think when you're trying to fit in a place you don't belong, you kind of lose yourself.
Absolutely.
And then I'd but like quietly in my private moments, I'd have this guilt of like, I'm betraying who I am. I love Star Wars, you know?
Your fucking from Empire Strikes Back, your Vader's severed helmet with your own
Yeah.
head inside it, just like I've
Yeah.
become that I hate the most.
100%. And I think it was, 2008 or whatever. Dad had gone to Malaysia to do like some training stuff, and he was sending back like bootleg DVDs.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, you know, which he'd done in Iraq as well. Because when he got to Iraq, the first package he sort of sent home was this like bootleg. It was like the complete Star Wars saga, because obviously Revenge of the Sith hadn't come out on DVD yet or like VHS. So there's this bootleg, the complete saga, and 5 of the films are just obviously burnt normal ones, but Revenge of the Sith was like filmed on a camcorder.
Oh, in cinema, those were my fucking favorite. Back, the sound is garbage. It's like slightly off kilter. There's people getting up. You're seeing silhouettes as they walk past.
It's like, and the people who have obviously brought in like a hand one, and they're like shaking because it's like 2 hours of holding a fucking camera. Dude, bootleg DVDs were so funny. But yeah, he sent one back of like the Clone Wars animated movie. Because I didn't see that one at the cinema. And I remember, like, I watched it on a portable DVD player, like, in my room late at night, like, trying to hide it like I'm a drug addict. like fucking, I'm, like, scratching at my arms, you know, like, oh, I gotta fucking watch this new Star Wars movie. Like, yeah, I don't know why I even felt the need to do that. It's not like my grandma or mum, like, who I lived with at the time, were gonna, like, do something to me for watching a Star Wars film, but...
You just felt like you're doing something illegal.
Yeah, you know, and I really loved it. Like, I really did. And I know, like, it's not great. It's average, you know. It's fine. Like, and there's some good stuff at its best. But, you know, I was like, oh, Obi-Wan's older here, you know. He's kind of, you know, and he was sassy. And Asajj was back because Asajj was in, obviously, the Genndy Clone Wars. And I was like, yeah, I remember her from that. And I was like, oh, Jabba the Hutt's son. That's kind of weird. But there was something about Ahsoka, like, I really liked. And yeah, Captain Rex, because I always thought the Clone Troopers were always cool to me. Like, I love Clone Troopers the way your generation loves the Stormtrooper. Like, I just prefer the Clone Trooper more.
I'm probably the abnormality because I never liked Stormtroopers. I liked, I guess, they're
the face of oppression.
Occasionally a variant. Do you know what I mean? I like the Scout Trooper and
the Scout Trooper's design is so sick.
So, like, I had that in the Speeder. I fucking loved that shit. And I had the
Scout Trooper is my favorite.
The snow one that I said to you. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
Snow Trooper.
I know we said this before, but mate. Seriously, if anybody here can you know get the message out, please, fucking Filoni, Lucas, anybody, make a fucking Ezra painted Scout Trooper helmet. There's at least 2 people here who will buy it. I'll buy 5 of them if that fucking helps. Like, seriously,
it's like your white whale.
It absolutely is. I'll fucking die on that hill. If on my deathbed you present me with one of those helmets, like I will go to the afterlife as a happy man. Put it on my casket before I get cremated.
You watch me start a new social media channel because that's my my favorite thing to do.
With your 48 Instagram accounts,
and it's just posting every day, begging Hasbro for this Ezra helmet until they make it.
Honestly, it's a license to print money, dudes. What the fuck are you doing?
I do love that. Yeah, the Scout Trooper's awesome.
But yeah, I never liked the Stormtroopers. I was just like, you're useless. You can't fucking shoot. You know what I mean? What are you doing? And like they didn't feel like a threat. Do you know what I mean? Whereas clone troopers always felt like a threat.
Yeah, they're competent.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And also I did like the personalities that they all had.
Yeah, I think that's what I like too. They were all so unique. But yeah, I don't know. Like that film wasn't great, but it did allow me to reconnect. And then bless my grandma. Back in the day, like people selling like Foxtel and Ozstar or whatever would like door knock. And I was into WWE as well, but that was only available on Foxtel at the time. But there was someone door knock and was like, "Oh, do you want to get Foxtel, like some good deal or whatever?" And she goes to her fucking room and she pulls out like a bag of coins. She's counting up money. She's like, "No, I really want to get Foxtel on for my grandson." And like she thinks it's a one-off purchase, doesn't realize it's like a sub and, and all this stuff. She gets fleeced basically at our own doorstep. We get Foxtel. I'm ecstatic because it was like 3 free months or whatever it was. But she's like inadvertently signed the house up for a subscription that she can't pay for.
Oh God.
You know, because she's on a disability pension at the time and all of that. But anyway, yeah, we get Foxtel and then, you know, I'm flicking through one day and then I see Cartoon Network, the Clone Wars movie has a show. Because I just didn't know. I just thought it was like a movie, one and done, and that's it. And then there's a TV show suddenly. And, you know, I think the first episode I see is, it's in season 1. It's the one where they get that new droid, Goldie, and he's like a spy for the Separatists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that one. And it was the one that was always bloody on. I swear, my wife and I laugh all the time. That one was either on a lot on TV or the one with Dr. Vindy, like the blue shadow virus, like totally not a Nazi scientist, the guy on the boot. But yeah, I'd just catch it when I could and watch, you know, and then I'd obviously end up pirating it online because didn't have any money to buy like the DVDs or whatever. And it just became like a ritual almost. And then I remember telling like my dad, like, "Oh, you got to watch Clone Wars." And he sort of had that like, you know, it's animated kind of vibe. He'd seen the Gendy one, but he wasn't too hot on it back in the day. But yeah, he loved Clone Wars as well. And then when my parents separated, I'd go visit Dad on the weekends. Like I'd be downloading the latest one, and we'd watch it and all that sort of shit. And I think that's why in the end, that's like my favorite Star Wars thing. It's like my original trilogy in a way, and I think it's because it reconnected me to something I tried to like disconnect myself from.
Mm.
And I love it for that.
I like it because it gave me a different appreciation for the prequels, where I can look through the lens and be like, I can glean the good parts from it and, you know, look at it. I think for me, it was because I hadn't watched Clone Wars, but I had watched Rebels. So I didn't get a lot of the background. So, you know what I mean? Like I didn't understand the background of Rex. I didn't understand the background.
Yeah,
of
that would have
Ahsoka.
been interesting watching that.
So I was just like, Ahsoka, she's fucking cool. Do you know what I mean? Rex, cool character. I dig this, the grizzled veteran of the Clone Wars. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of cool elements. And then when we went back and watched it, I was like, because I've only watched Clone Wars once. I was like, holy shit, okay, but when we did the run, we watched like Clone Wars and then we watched Rebels and then we watched Bad Batch. And I was like, oh my God, okay, it's like poetry, it rhymes. It's beautiful. So, and you know, because it's not just the exploration of Anakin that they give you, it's the exploration of like both sides of the Force. It's the deepening of Dooku, of all the other Jedi, you know, Plo Koon and everything else. So, but for me, it just became this, like my universe has expanded so much more. And
it takes you on a journey, some would say.
Oh yeah, it was like
odyssey.
my own odyssey, my own trials to overcome. But it really did like reconnect me with this like the childlike wonder and fantasy of, you know what I mean? Like that just like I and I mean this unironically, like hope. Do you know what I mean? That beautiful, you know, childlike innocence of everyone, good will always win. Good will triumph over evil, classic fantasy and fable and that kind of stuff. And it's really like I've probably in the last 4 or 5 years watched and digested more Star Wars than I have in decades before. And I'm loving it. And not only just because of proximity, because they've released a lot more and it's being streaming, but it's just a core part of like, it's probably my favorite fandom. and the catalyst of why we started doing this podcast together. But yeah,
Yeah, it's actually like my 5th favorite, David.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, actually, but yeah, I'll always be grateful to you for that. Because it's, you know what I mean? It's been a very healing journey. And also because of the fact that you're so knowledgeable on it, there's just like,
That's because I was hiding it in my room like an addict, you know?
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, new laws dropped straight into my veins.
Get it, pump it in.
How tall are clone troopers? Injecting that knowledge into my brain.
But it's also like, for me, it's nice because I'm usually the guy doing the, as I like to call it, the DVD commentary when we're watching something together. You know, here's the fun facts that you didn't need to know about the director, the fucking, you know, the score, the actor, the whatever. And you've always got that, you know, expansive knowledge of like, hey, let me give you some, you know, chocolate icing on this cake just to make it a little bit better. And
yeah, did you know that the reason that Anakin is an immaculate childbirth is not because of a parable to Jesus? It's because Lucas himself is infertile and incapable of having children, like that sort of stuff.
I did not know that. So what happened was Lucas squirted his midichlorians into the universe and birthed Anakin.
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah, because all his children are like adopted.
I actually did not know that. So
Yeah.
thank you for a fun fact.
And like, and it probably resonate with you a bit, like, given like the Jewish heritage, like one of the contesting points between Lucas and his father was his father wanted him to take on like the family stationery business. But Lucas was like, no, I want to be a filmmaker.
Ah.
And his dad's like, that's not a real job.
How dare you? How dare you go into the arts, you failure of a child?
Yeah, so that it's that thing of like, you know, the
Bro, I've
forgiving your father type thing.
I've literally had conversations in the past with my parents, with them saying when I went into playing video games when I was a child, and they just sit there and go, and even as a young teenager and getting older. It's like, what are you going to do with your life? You're going to be fucking, video games will never get you anywhere in life. These things will never get you anywhere in life. And I still remember the first time when I started writing for, you know, in the games industry and stuff for Official PlayStation Magazine and other things like that. I got my first paycheck and it was like, I can actually live doing this.
Yeah.
And I grabbed, and this is back in the day when they would give you a paycheck, you get like the check. I slammed it down in front of my family. I was like, so fucking video games will never get you anywhere in life, eh? Your fandoms won't get down. It was like, I still remember one of the reviews I did was Lego Star Wars, and it was just like, it was just like, oh.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
It is like poetry. It's full circle moments.
That must have been so satisfying. It's like the equivalent of like a scene in every like cop movie where they slam their badge and their gun.
Yeah,
like that.
Honestly, I only rubbed it in my parents' faces like 80 or 90,000 times.
It's funny how
I
people have
leveraged
that
for like
attitude.
12 years.
Like I never got paid to do like, because I kind of wanted to be a games journalist when I first went to uni, but then at uni I started being like, oh, why limit myself?
Also, it's just the fucking hardest.
But like my first sort of big break was like, yeah, I had like a little article published in Game Informer, and like it wasn't paid or anything, you know, it was paid with exposure. But like it was like a first big break to me because it gave me the confidence of like, oh no, you do have good ideas and you are a good copywriter and all that sort of thing, and it, you know, propelled me forward.
Also, it's so nice just to like go to a newsstand or whatever and you open it up and it's like, that's your byline.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
funny
that's
too.
So fucking wild.
Because like I'd sent the stuff in, they'd gone, oh yeah, cool, thanks mate, and then just never spoke to me again.
So you never got a follow up that it was a thing.
So I didn't know.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I just used to read Game Informer. So I like was literally finished uni for the day, hitting the newsagent, pick up the new fucking one, and then I like turn the page and there's my photo with my article. And I was like, holy shit. And then I'm buying it and the clerk's like, he's like, oh, you're smiling. And I was like, I'm in this. And he was like, oh, really? And I like turned the page and he was like, good on you, mate. You know, it was such like a wholesome moment I just had with this random dude who I've never seen again.
We're going to add that. We're going to add that to the review. Good on you, mate.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you, mate. Game employee, which will go right next to the your podcast is not bad from Guy in the lift at work. Shout out to the guy in the lift at work. Got to mention this. Got to mention this tiny sidebar. My wife sent me a screenshot of Guy in the lift at work in a Teams meeting, and he was the most Dooku-looking motherfucking Dooku I've ever seen in my life.
He had the signature look of superiority.
It was absolutely spectacular. He did vow us. We're trying to work out a name, a Star Wars code name for Guy on the lift, because he said we are absolutely not allowed to call him Ella Vader, which honestly is so fucking good. It is so fucking good. I don't know if we can top it. I really don't.
I'll figure something out.
Because I was thinking of like, Obi Lift One Kenobi, or, dumb shit.
Too tortured.
Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely. I framed it by saying it's dog shit. But yeah, I definitely shouts out to Matt, and also shouts out to anyone who's continuing on this odyssey of types with us, because far be it from Hayden and I to labor a trope and burn it into the ground throughout the course of, what is this now, the 48th hour of this podcast. I don't think it's going to live up to the GOAT of podcasts we did, which was 3.5 hours.
It was funny to me when I finished like watching the Odyssey, because I was like, oh, that was 3 hours. Still not as long as our favorite Star Wars characters.
I think that's going to be our goal. If we ever go into movies reviews, I want us to just have a thing where the movie review podcast has to be longer than the actual runtime.
Oh, that's like YouTube 101A. It's like breakdown of X film, and it's like 8 hours long, and it's like, brother, the analysis cannot be that much longer than
no. You're sitting there. If the information you're delivering is news to the filmmaker, then you're delving too deep into the fucking context. Oh, holy shit. Sorry, I don't know how we were going to wrap, or if there was more we were going to delve into. But for me, my two biggest points I wanted to make on this were, the touch point of where it started for me, and I guess where it really pivoted and changed. And now I'm, because there was such a long period of time I didn't digest Star Wars other than the OGs. Do you know what I mean? And then begrudgingly a bit of prequel. That I just stayed away from it. And there's just such a gamut. Like we were looking through your collection today, there's so many video games I haven't played. There's so many I know there's random comics that you haven't read, but I haven't delved in. I know there's way more Star Wars comics at the moment than there've ever been, and I haven't touched or gotten near any of them. Like, do you know what I mean? And I've never read one of the books. So there's so much to discover. And I feel like I'm only like, even as somebody who's doing a Star Wars podcast and has a pretty decent knowledge, I feel like I've just I've got like a fingernail of the actual fandom. Don't know where I was going with that, but
yeah, the galaxy is vast as it is wide. I think that's what I always love about it. There's like something for everyone.
Is there any more that you want to, on the wrap ups, on the final?
Well, I think you said a lot that you're grateful that I
did say a lot. I'm sorry.
Changed your allowed you to view it through a different lens, and then I feel bad because I haven't said I'm grateful for anything.
Well, I'm quite used to your younger sibling energy, boyo. So I expect an older brother expects no thanks.
Well, I think what I'm grateful for is actually like giving it a chance, because like the amount of people I've met and I've gone, hey, you should check this out if that's what you want from Star Wars, and they just sneer at it and don't give it a go, but you actually did.
Well, that would be the writer in me, and I think that's just another thing that you and I connected over besides the FET, is just we both believe the same thing, which is, a good story is a good story, and it doesn't actually matter what the medium is. You can find a good story anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what connects us, and that's what binds us. So, not like us, you and me, but us as a people. So
yeah, it's like we were saying about your nephew, right? Like he enjoys music and all that. Like music is a form of storytelling.
Absolutely. So yeah, dude, I am supremely grateful.
Well, I guess that's the end of our voyage on this Odyssey.
Quite abrupt. We beached the podcast right at the end because we didn't know how to end it. It has been a delight, good sir. I have enjoyed this Odysseus with you. It has been great.
Aren't you happy? No spoilers for the Odyssey.
I'm sure that will happen IRL, so looking forward to that.
Can you really spoil a 2,800-year-old?
No, I think that's actually my favorite meme that came out. As somebody been like, no spoilers for the Odyssey. It's like, bro, the book's been out for 3,000 years.
Yeah, I love that meme. It's like, gentlemen, we're going on an odyssey. And then they're like, Odysseus, what's an odyssey? And it's like a journey named after the only survivor. And they're like, wait, what?
Honestly, I'm here for the memes. In fact, I will watch it just through the memes, as Nolan intended.
Before we wrap it up, just something to connect the Odyssey and Star Wars again. Agamemnon in the Odyssey, real Darth Vader vibes about him. A lot of presence on screen, like just in a like pretty frightening way. And yeah, really good casting.
I'm looking forward to seeing how many Greeks try and slip the Death Star plans past him.
Yeah, they're not making it out of the hallway with Agamemnon there. It's crazy that he died. Spoilers.
Oh no, it's ruined.
Oh,
I can't watch it now.
no.
Well, thank you all for your time. Thank you for your ears. Thank you for following the patchwork quilt of chicanery that is our podcast. And
thank you for joining us on this Odyssey.
Yes. I've got nothing else to say other than it's a wrap. It's a wrap.